So how do you think the UN can amplify, the developing countries to ensure a more balanced or equitable global narratives?
Well, my department is responsible for broadcasting. We live stream all of the meetings in the Security Council, in the General Assembly, so that anyone can hear those voices of the member states delivering their perspectives, their point of view, their statements. So that's one thing. That is providing transparency in the global theater that is the United Nations, where, especially in the General Assembly, every nation, large or small, has the same vote and has a voice. We also try to cover the world. We are in places where journalists are traveling, and we deliver that content for free to broadcasters all over the world. So we have a video service called Unifeed, which is 10 minutes of raw video footage from around the world that UN filmmakers have put together. And it allows television stations, and it could be anyone who is producing video to put together in very difficult to reach places. We are delivering video from Gaza, where no international journalists are allowed to enter. But we also try to cover stories around solutions, around innovations, around transformations. And we want to make sure that our content has another dimension. And that is, yes, we have lots of problems, but there are people providing solutions and assistance. Disturbing the level of suffering, the level of hunger, the level of misery and fear and despair is just it's so worrying. And we could help them, but we're not being given access, and that is incredibly frustrating.
China has called on to the major powers to de-escalate the tension between the Middle East and also, pledged cooperation for peace. So how do you view this approach?
Well, the Secretary General has called for de-escalation. He has called for a return to negotiations around Iran's nuclear program. And he is very hopeful hostilities will end and that we can return to speaking to each other and bringing down the tensions and bringing down the bombs. It's very aligned with what the Secretary General is calling for and many member states in the UN. The Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, often says that there's no military solution to most of our problems. They're only political solutions, and that's what the UN is there for. We can only solve our problems through global cooperation, through negotiation, through mediation. War is only results in suffering. And we would like to see an end to all wars, and we would love to be able to be the place where the problems of our world get resolved. So UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, which I used to work at for 10 years, just released its annual figures. And it is really shocking. It's 122 million people now have been forced to flee their homes due to war, conflict, and persecution. It's a record number of people. And it is because of new wars and because festering wars have found no peace. So we believe that so much more efforts need to be made to stop the wars that are causing so much suffering, driving so many people to flee their countries, their homes. And at a time when also we are receiving so much less funding to be able to help the people who are in such great need. So we really hope there will be more peace and less war.
Do you think major powers in the world should take more responsibility to help to solve this problem?
Absolutely. I mean, we do hope that that those with influence can, do everything in their power to put an end to wars.
How can the UN and China to cooperate more to foster inclusive narrative?
It's our 80th anniversary this year, and I've heard from many of the Chinese government officials whom I've met that they're very committed to the UN Charter and to supporting the United Nations and the values of the United Nations, and to providing cooperation and support to the Sustainable Development Goals, and to helping lift up countries around the world, to reduce inequality and promote development, and maybe to share some of the strategies that is so successful here of transitioning away from fossil fuels to renewable energy.